Hey guys, in this video we'll be talking about how to solve multi-step equations, and what I mean by a multi-step equation is an equation that requires more than two steps to solve. And so in the last two videos we saw one and two-step equations. Now we're going to be getting into equations that require three or more steps in order to solve. Okay, so one thing you need to remember about multi-step equations is before you start moving things over the equal sign, you want to make sure that you have simplified each side of the equation. And so if you remember back to our videos over simplifying expressions, simplifying involves two things. Number one, you need to make sure that you've distributed, if possible, on each side. And then the second thing is you need to make sure that you have combined like terms. Okay, so if you looked at it, example 1, I'll show you what I mean by this. We have 4x minus 2x plus 1 equals 7. And so before I start moving anything over the equal sign, I'm just going to take a look at my left side. So I have 4x minus 2x plus 1. And on the left side, you'll notice that there are like terms that are both on the left side of the equal sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine those like terms. Okay, we have a positive 4x and a negative 2x. 4x minus 2x is just 2x. And so that gives me 2x plus 1 over here. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring down my equals 7. Now if I look at the left side again, 2x plus 1, those are not like terms, so I can't do anything else to that side. So now I'll go ahead and I'll look at the right side. And so on the right side, all you have is just a plain old 7. You can't simplify 7 any more than it already is. So now we have a equation where we can start moving things over the equal sign. This looks just like the two-step equations you saw in the last video. So the first thing I want to do is undo my addition. So I'll subtract 1 from both sides. That's going to give me just 2x on the left side equals 7 minus 1 is 6. And then if I divide both sides by 2, that will cancel out this 2 here. And so I'll get x equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now I do want you to get in the habit of checking again these problems here. So to show your check, again you're going to take the original equation. It was 4x minus 2x plus 1 equals 7. So instead of x, again I'm going to put in a positive 3, and notice I have to put it in two places. So we're doing 4 times 3 minus 2 times 3 plus 1, and that should give us 7. 4 times 3 is 12, minus 2 times 3 is minus 6, plus 1, and then 12 minus 6 is 6, plus 1 will give me 7. So that does check out. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's look at number 2. I have 3 times the quantity k plus 8 is equal to 21. And so for this one, again, I'm just going to look at the left side of that equation. 3 times the quantity k plus 8, we can distribute on the left side. So I'm going to distribute that 3, and that gives me 3k plus 24 is equal to 21. And now I look at the right side. 21 is just a plain old number. Can't do anything with that, so now I can start moving things over the equal sign. So I subtract 24 to get rid of positive 24. That's going to give me 3k is equal to 21 minus 24 is negative 3. And then I can divide both sides by this positive 3 to isolate k, and that gives me k is equal to negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. And again, I do want you to get in the habit of checking. To save some time, I'm not going to show you the check for this one, but I will show you the check for number 3. So number 3, we have 15 equals 9 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 1. For this problem here, if you look at the left side of the equation first, we just have a regular 15. So I can't do anything with the left side. So I'm just going to bring that down. We have 15 equals. But on the right side, there are a couple of things I can do. Okay, so the right side of my equation, I've got 9 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 1. If you remember, the first thing you should do when you're simplifying an expression is distribute. So that's what I'll do first over here on the right side. So I'm going to leave my 9 alone and just bring that down. But I have a negative 3 times x. That would give me negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1 would be a plus 3. And then I'm going to keep on looking here at the right side because I'm not done simplifying it yet. So I'm still going to focus just what's on the right side here. I have some like terms now on the right side. I have a positive 9 and a positive 3. So if I combine those, that gives me a positive 12. And then I have my minus 3x still. So notice again, I have not moved anything over the equal sign. I haven't done any opposites. All I've done is simplified the right side of this equation, and now that I've simplified, I can start moving things over my equal sign and isolating x. So the first thing we want to get rid of is addition and subtraction. Even though you see subtraction here, again, keep in mind this is a positive 12, so to move that 12, I need to subtract 12 from both sides. So that's 12 minus 12 over here on the right, that's 0. Over here on the left, 15 minus 12 is 3, so we have 3 equals. And then over here on the left side, remember this is a negative 3x, so don't forget to bring down that negative sign. And now to isolate x, I can divide both sides by negative 3. So positive 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. To check this one, your original equation was 15 equals 9 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 1. We believe x is negative 1, so I'll plug a negative 1 in right here for x, right inside those parentheses, and then we have another minus 1. Keep in mind you have to follow order of operations when you're checking. So when I'm checking, the first thing I need to do is simplify what's inside parentheses. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. And then after you do what's inside parentheses, you need to do your multiplication. So we have a negative 3 times a negative 2 here. That's a plus 6. So we have 15 equals 9 plus 6. 9 plus 6 is, in fact, 15. So that does check out. Okay, now let's look at number 4. Number 4, you'll notice we have some fractions in that problem. And so what I like to do when I see more than one fraction in a problem is I like to get rid of those fractions in the first step. And the way I get rid of those fractions is by multiplying. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in parentheses around this 3/4 x minus 1/3 x, because you have to keep in mind that this here is a quantity, and so if we do any kind of multiplying over here on the left side, we need to put parentheses around it so that we remember to distribute. So look at your denominators. You have a 4 and a 3. I'm going to think of the LCM, the least common multiple of 4 and 3. And the least common multiple of 4 and 3 is 12, because 4 and 3 both go into 12. So I'm going to multiply the left side by 12 over 1. And then I'll do the same thing on the right side, multiply it by 12. And here's why I'm doing that. If I distribute now and take 12 times 3/4 x, let's show this over here on the side, 12 times 3/4, your 4 and your 12 will cancel. And then you have 3 times 3, which is 9 over 1. So that gives you 9 over 1, or just 9. So 12 times 3/4 x is really just 9x. And then I do the same thing with 12 times negative 1/3. 12 times 1/3, 3 and 12 will cancel, and you'll get 4 over 1, or just 4. And so this will give you a minus 4x equals 10 times 12 is just 120. So when I multiply everything by the LCM of my denominators, that gets rid of my denominators completely. And now I don't have fractions. So it makes the problem a little bit easier. So that's what I like to do first anytime I have an equation with fractions. And now I can take a look at each side separately. So I'll just look at the left side again first. I have a 9x minus 4x. Those are both like terms. 9x minus 4x is 5x equals 120. And now I can just isolate x by dividing both sides by 5. So if I divide here and here, I get x is equal to 120 divided by 5 is going to give me 24. Okay, let's go ahead and let's look at number 5. I'm going to do the same thing I did on number 4 here on number 5. I've got 3 fractions in this problem. I don't like having fractions in my equation, so I'm going to get rid of those right away. So I'm going to look at my denominators. I'm also going to draw in parentheses because this is a sum over here. It's a quantity, m over 4 plus m over 2. So again, that just reminds me to distribute. The LCM of 4, 2, and 8, don't forget the 8 over here, is 8. Okay, all three of these numbers go into 8 evenly. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 8 over 1. Okay, so when I distribute 8 over 1 times m over 4, again, I can cancel my 4 and my 8, would cancel to 1 and 2. 2 times m is just 2m, and then over 1, so this just becomes 2m. And then when I take 8 times m over 2, 2 and 8 cancel to 1 and 4, and I get 4m over 1, or just 4m. So we have 2m plus 4m is equal to 5/8 times 8 over 1. The 8's cancel, and you just get 5. Okay, so now, again, I'm going to take a look at just the left side of this equation. So we have 2m plus 4m over on the left side. So I'm going to simplify that side first. 2m plus 4m gives you 6m. So we have 6m is equal to 5. And then to isolate m, I can just divide both sides by 6. That gives me m equals 6. Obviously does not go into 5, so we can just leave our answer as the fraction 5/6. Yes, you can get fractions as your answer for these, so don't think you're wrong if you get a fraction as an answer. It is a good idea to check that to see if you made a mistake there, but fractions are allowed as your answers on these. Okay, number 6. This one here, we have an equation with decimals. So again, the first thing you want to do is look at the left side by itself and try to simplify. For this one, though, if you just look at that left side, 0.5a plus 8.75, you can't do anything with that. Those are not like terms. You can't distribute anything, so we'll leave that side alone. And then, of course, the same thing with 13.25. So this is actually just a two-step equation with decimals. So the first thing I can do is just subtract 8.75 from both sides. And you can use your calculator for that. So you're going to get 0.5a on the left side is equal to 13.25 minus 8.75 would give us just 4.5. And now we want to divide both sides by 0.5. Dividing by 0.5 is the same thing as dividing by a half, which is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So really this is 4.5 times 2, and that's going to give us positive 9. Okay, for the last 4 problems, I would like you to pause the video and try those on your own. And then when you click play, once you're done with each of those, I'll have the answers up here. So try each of these on your own, and then click play to see how you did. Okay, so you can check your answers now. For number 7, you should have had m equals positive 4. Again, combine like terms on the right side first. 5m plus 2m is 7m. And then we add 23 and divide by 7 in order to get 4. Number 8, positive 8, x equals positive 8. For this one, when you take 3x minus 4x, that gives you a negative 1x, or you can just write it as negative x. And then you have plus 6 equals negative 2. So then we minus 6 from both sides to get negative 8. But keep in mind this is a negative x equals negative 8. So then I have to divide both sides by this negative 1 that's kind of invisible here. And so that gives me x equals positive 8. For number 9, you need to distribute on the left side first. You get negative 16x plus 8 equals 36. So if you subtract 8 and divide by negative 16, you get another fraction for this one. 28 divided by negative 16, you can just leave that as a negative fraction, but be sure you reduce. 28 over 16 reduces to 7 over 4, so negative 7/4. And then the last one, combine 1.2x and 0.3x first to get 1.5x. And then if you add 3.6 and divide 1.5, you get by 1.5, you get x equals 4. So again, any questions you have, be sure to write those down. And until next time I see you, have a nice day. You are all wonderful people.